I have a story here from the Associated Press that's so colossally insane that it doesn't even sound real. In fact, when I read the headline, I was like, no, come on. That can't be the case. You click on the link, you read the story, you go, oh shit, it appears to be true. So the mainstream media is not discussing this nearly enough. This is an unbelievably important story, but listen to it. They say here, the Philippine president has compared his bloody anti-drug campaign, which left more than 3,000 people dead, to how Hitler massacred millions of Jews, saying he would be, quote, happy to slaughter 3 million addicts. President Rodrigo Duterte issued his latest threat against drug dealers and users early Friday after visiting Vietnam, where he discussed his anti-drug campaign with Vietnamese leaders, among other concerns. Duterte said, Hitler massacred, this is a quote, Hitler massacred 3 million Jews. There's 3 million drug addicts. There are. I'd be happy to slaughter them. Are we living in a simulation? What is happening? What is going on? Is this some sort of sick joke? Whenever you feel like, you know what, it's 2016, we're somewhat enlightened, we've evolved to a certain point where, human beings can deal and figure their shit out. No, bitch. Not even close. Not even close. I mean, if ISIS wasn't evidence enough, now you have a head of state saying, yeah, genocide, awesome, can't wait, that's my goal, I plan to do that, I'd be happy to do that. All right, look, man, you gotta do something. Everybody knows I'm a non-interventionist to my core. The only time I would use unilateral U.S. force is when there's a direct threat of violence against us. But I always say, outside of that, if there is a genocide going on somewhere, so not a civil war, not something up in the air, whatever, but if there's a genocide going on somewhere, I'm not opposed to the UN getting involved. Of course the UN should get involved. Of course world leaders should sit down and try to figure something out and try to stop the pain and suffering and disastrous situation that's unfolding in front of them. So when I look at what Duterte is saying and what he's already done, and by the way, these are just his worst comments, he's given similar ones. But if I was President Obama, I would say, okay, well, now emergency UN meeting, we're all getting together, we're all going to figure out a sane, rational course of action in response to this. And if we can't find a way to basically make it so that we know he's not going to continue with a genocide of drug users and drug dealers, well, then we're going to have to do an embargo, we're going to have to do sanctions, we're going to have to crack down and force him to the position that we need him to be in. Now, believe me, I get it, and I've argued for it before. I don't believe that in every situation sanctions works. Sometimes they are counterproductive. In the case of the Philippines, it may actually work. If it gets to the point where we need to do that and you can't figure something out in an emergency meeting otherwise, in the Philippines, there is a dispersion of power. So if you do sanctions on North Korea, for example, not going to work. It's not going to work because it is a literal, the authoritarian government. The structure of the government is authoritarian. So if it's just Kim Jong-un who has all the power, if you crack down, he's still going to be rich and it's only going to hurt the people. But if you have a system that is not a literal authoritarian structure, the Philippines is not a literal authoritarian structure, he has authoritarian tendencies, but the structure of the government is not authoritarian. Well, in that situation, if you crack down on them economically, yes, you do force their hand and you can get some changes. Why? Because then you have captains of industry and other important people in the country go to Duterte and they say, hey, jackass, we're suffering now. We're not making as much money as we were. Our deals are threatened now as a result of your dumbass, so you need to www.shutthefuckup.com. So in that situation, sanctions, an embargo, that could help it. But again, That would be the fallback option. The first option is you got to call an emergency meeting with the UN. You got to obviously get in contact with Duterte, figure something out, talk it out. This is not, you can't have a head of state in the year 2016 say, I love Hitler, I'd love to copy his tactics. Yeah, he slaughtered the Jews? Well, I don't agree with that, but I'll slaughter the drug users. Huh? No, that you're saying I'm going to be a genocidal, bloodthirsty maniac and fascist. That's what you're saying. You're saying I am going to be a terrorist. I'm letting everybody know that's what I'm going to do. Drug users, what is it with the fucking hatred? I don't get it. If you drink coffee, you're a drug user. Hate to tell you. If you drink alcohol, you're a drug user. You know, if you get a fucking prescription of anti-anxiety pills from your doctor, you're a drug user. Dr. Carl Hart says it best. He's an expert on this stuff. He says, not only do we not live in a drug-free society, you wouldn't want to live in a drug-free society. So this idea of like, well, obviously you're a bad person just by your very nature if you take substances. That is nowhere near reality. That's just on fucking Neptune. That makes no sense in so many ways. So it's birthed out of ignorance and stupidity. Like he probably saw when he was a kid or something, or maybe his parents or whatever, I don't know. So, but I see a lazy drug user who ruined their life or something. Therefore, all of them are like that. Therefore, they deserve to die. What? If you were to look at it statistically, the overwhelming majority of drug users are good people who can, live a normal life and keep everything in balance. Again, Dr. Carl Hart, who's an expert on this stuff, says 80% of all drug users are normal people who can go about their lives and have no issues. And by the way, it's not like the 20% that struggle kill them. Like, what is that? No, if anything, you say, maybe, okay, rehab in some cases, maybe people need some sort of help or whatever. But there's no nuance, there's no human empathy, there's no reason. It's just, he's just a fucking stone cold bigot and a bad person. It's amazing to me that we're having this conversation in 2016. A guy's calling for a genocide in the middle of doing a genocide. If 3,000 people are already dead, his other comments were, kill him yourself. We'll have the police help you. We'll have the police do it for you. You won't get in trouble. I'll love you if you start killing these people. This is the shit that he said. And we're just looking at it like, oh, that's interesting. Anyway, you have a ham sandwich? What's for lunch? What the fuck is this?